Hey everyone, welcome to this week's edition of Imagine That. As you can see, we've got a new face. Well, an old face, but a new face for...
You call me old?
No, not
I am
old.
not old.
Not at
Yet.
all.
Yet. I'm an old soul.
My name's Tim Parker. I'm the Global Marketing Director for Imagine, and we have on stream with us today...
I'm Zach Rickhart. I am Rick's son, and I am the General Manager here at Imagine.
Yep. So we are excited to have a fresh, new, young face.
Young face. Okay. I would have shaved before if you wanted a young face.
Okay. So, excited to be here with you this week. We took last week off mainly because Zach was celebrating his anniversary.
I was somewhere on a beach.
On a beach.
On a beach. Technically, I was on a boat.
Yep.
But now I'm here.
On a beach, close to a beach.
Yeah.
Boat close to a beach. Okay.
Now I'm here, sunburnt and swaying.
Yeah. You do look like you got a little bit of sun.
I feel like I did. My shoulders got some sun, so
Yeah.
it's a good thing we have to wear shirts at work. That would be an unsightly
That
view.
is a good thing, for sure. So we're here this week to catch up with you and bring you kind of up to speed on some new airline things, talk about some things that have been happening in the airline industry, and just kind of cover a few things, all airline except for we're not going to talk about.
Airline food.
Okay.
I know every week we do this, we always find a way to talk about food. And I'm going to make a promise right now to do my best not to discuss food.
And I have had some that's pretty good, and then I've had some that's not so good.
We had good meals. That's all I can say. We can't say anything more about
okay,
food.
we won't talk
We're going to
about
lose them.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
But we're going to break all this stuff down for you today, and we're going to talk everything all about planes. We've got some updates on some news that has happened in the past and just recently. So I think Zach is going to lead us off in some of that. So what you got?
Absolutely. So if you are a stranger to social media, then you probably haven't seen anything. But if you watch Fox or CNN or any of the other news platforms, you've probably seen there was a plane that flipped in Toronto, I believe. I want to say it was Delta Airlines. Then a couple of days ago, actually while I was on my cruise, I saw it on one of the TVs. They were saying that Southwest actually was trying to take off on the landing ramp.
Okay.
So there was like a plane coming, and then Southwest was trying to take off at the same time. Wild times. And then, obviously, this past week we also saw that London Heathrow supposedly caught on fire. Turns out it wasn't the airport that caught on fire, but we'll talk about that more probably in a minute. But the craziest one, this is the one that kind of blows my mind. Southwest decided that they are no longer offering free checked bags with every ticket. Now it's only with like the highest tier ticket.
Wow.
So
Well,
that make sense.
Yeah, and I have noticed a lot of domestic flights that seem to be, cost effective until you actually get in there and start figuring out that you have to choose your seat or you have to pay for baggage. So it's interesting.
We just got a new airline in Lakeland, and they charge for everything but your personal item. So if you wear like a backpack, it's free. But if you want an overhead bag, you pay for it. And if you want a checked bag, you pay for it. And if you want 2 checked bags, they don't even offer it. So
Wow.
it's
So
wild.
I guess you could probably decide to do like, you remember the episode, you probably don't remember the episode of Friends, but where Joey puts all of Chandler's clothes on. So,
Yes, and he wears them all to the airport.
instead of checking a bag.
And he's just
put all-
wobbling in.
That's what it's going to get to. Everybody's wearing all their clothes for the whole trip.
Pretty much. I mean, I feel like I already do that when I travel. I wear multiple layers, and then I shed them, and then I put them back on.
It gets cold sometimes
Yeah.
on these planes. So, well, why don't you bring us up to speed on the Delta plane that in Toronto?
Yeah, so that one's kind of a wild story. So, I mean, for starters, thankfully, nobody passed. There was nothing that severe. I believe that there was like a couple dozen people that were hospitalized, just other issues. But the bright side, everyone was offered 30 grand.
Wow.
No strings attached. What would you do with 30 grand just for getting on a plane? I mean,
I'd pay my luggage fees for a while.
exactly. Like, it's one of those things where, and it's funny, Delta, I'm probably jumping the gun here, Delta actually offers a free checked bag with almost every one of their tickets.
Amazing.
I think there's one ticket policy for like domestic flights where they don't offer it. Like you can buy it without, and it's like the cheapest of the cheap. They sit you next to the bathroom intentionally, but everything else they offer checked bags.
Wow.
But yeah, they apparently there was like some sort of failure with their landing gear. They said it was on the main right gear piece, and just something happened. The plane ended up coming down, and they knew it was going to happen. Like they had some like control module alert them. I don't know planes and aviation stuff, but from what I understand, it failed. They hit the ground, and then the plane just kind of rolled over. But thankfully, nobody died.
Yeah.
So that's the highlight.
Yeah, that's a huge blessing, and I know as one thing happens, and it seems to always happen whenever you're about to go on a trip. So everything becomes. It's kind of like whenever you buy a Kia Telluride and you've never seen them on the road, and then you get out there after you've bought it and you see it everywhere.
Yeah.
It's same thing with planes. You're getting ready to take a trip. All of a sudden, you start hearing about all of the different accidents that are happening with planes. But we've had, even with that, so we've got a couple more to talk about, and then we want to kind of talk about what the reality is out there. But there was the Southwest plane taking off, you said?
Yeah, actually it was local here. It was in Orlando Airport.
Oh, wow.
They were taking off on it's not the runway, it's the landing way, or
Okay.
I don't know what it's called. It's the opposite of the runway.
Yeah,
It's
the landing, yeah.
the landing way.
Sounds
The
good.
landing way. Someone will correct us in the comments. But yeah, they took off, and for some reason, like as they were approaching the runway, or at least they thought it was, they were notified by the tower, the control tower, and they found out the hard way, I guess, that hey, you cannot take off as a plane is landing. But fortunately, nothing happened. They were able to turn it around.
That's a good catch.
But it is wild. Like, you think that there's all these things going on just randomly. And then I started looking up, like, some of the statistics for this,
Yeah.
which we'll probably talk about in a little bit, but it's wild. Like, I think you said it best. The second you start getting closer to your travel day, like, we were getting ready to go on a cruise, and I'm seeing, massive swell, storms off the coast, like, islands being closed because, the waves and tides were just too crazy. Yeah. We didn't experience any of that.
Really?
So I don't know. Well, it
but
did
it was
rain in the
your mind.
Bahamas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but it's in your mind, and those are things I think that are going to happen. I think back to a long time ago, whenever Joni and I went on a trip, and swine flu was out there, and the reality of us ever having a problem with it was very low. In fact, I'm not a part of the travel industry like we kind of are now.
True.
But I know my person that I worked with was a good friend, and I'm sure she was tired of me calling and going, hey, do I need to worry about this? Do I need to worry about this? When in reality, not a whole lot of need to worry about it. Same thing with these flights. As we continue to talk about this, I think we're going to check on some things that are that you can rest assured that the likelihood of something happening to you is small.
And it's crazy how small it is. Like, so I did take a deep dive, and maybe that is where we'll segue, is I decided, just because I was having a conversation with a friend the other day, and they said that now is the least safe time to fly. He will not get on a plane.
Really?
And I did not understand that. I'm like, look, I'm getting on a plane at the end of the month. I'm going to Greece. I think you're going on a trip sometime soon, from what I understand. So, like, there's a lot of flights coming up. And I decided, why not? Let's look it up. Let's see what are some of the statistics. And I figured they would be astronomical. I figured, like, there would be, like, 300-400 issues a day, if not a month or a week.
Mm-hmm.
There's not.
There's not.
Yeah. I mean, there's more than I would like to see. But then when you kind of put it in perspective to, like, lightning strikes, car crashes, carjackings in Miami even. Like, the odds of something happening on your flight are so much slimmer.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It was kind of mind-boggling to me, at least.
Yeah, and I think the graphic that you pulled was anything from probably an electronic problem in an aircraft all the way to fatalities, right?
And that's the wild part, is like, it could be literally something as simple as the landing gear failed, or, as the plane was leaving, there was an issue and they had to pull back into the terminal. Like, something as simple as that is classified as, like, an incident.
Okay.
So that to me was wild, because I figured that I would probably classify those in different categories, but the National Travel Safety Board, I think that's the right acronym, they don't. They just say an incident is an incident.
Okay.
But then when you click on fatalities, that number drops from like a big scary number to next to nothing.
Wow.
And that's not discrediting it.
Yeah.
But I mean, you have really good odds flying.
Sure. And there are more planes in the air now than there have been in ever, right? I mean, there's continually more planes that we're dealing with that are in the air. Even if we are looking at fewer airlines, those flights have been picked up by someone.
Absolutely, yeah.
So the graphic that I think.
Yeah. So we have on the screen, and what I want to point out mostly is like just the last 5 years alone. So if you look at some of the numbers, like you looked at January 2025, 67 incidents that month. Right. But then you look at the prior year, 80. You look at the previous year, 90. Yeah. The previous year, 80, or 82. Then the previous year, 74. So compared to the last 5 years now, 2025 has had the fewest air-related accidents.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, looking at those numbers, I traveled a lot during those years and never really even knew that there were anywhere close to that many issues.
Exactly, and I think that's the wild part. I mean, if you get ready to board a plane and they say, "Oh, your flight's been delayed. There was a mechanical malfunction," that's part of this list. Okay. So, like, if maybe I misunderstood it, but that's everything that I read. It was as simple as you show up. If your flight's delayed and they tell you it was due to, maintenance, mechanical issues, something like that, now it gets reported to this graphic. And so this shows everything, non-fatal incidents and fatal incidents.
Okay.
But what's crazy is, and granted the month is still young, it's only March 25th.
Yeah. March
2025, 8. Last year, 113.
Yeah. I don't, I'm looking at that list, I don't see anywhere that's anywhere close to that.
No. Yeah. And it's wild because, like, there is the argument right now that, it's not safe to fly, don't get on planes. And I think you said it best earlier, is as you're getting ready to do something, as tourism is picking up, as, this past week for us here in Lakeland was spring break. Yeah. And so you would think that as we're going into, like, holiday season, you would see some of these issues. But apparently the numbers say otherwise.
Yeah, it's dropped dramatically.
Yeah. I mean, just a few of the other numbers. I mean, you can look all the way out into like the summer months. So if you look at like June and July, that typically is the highest season. But what's really crazy to me is actually when you look at like 2019, 2020, and 2021, those were the years during like the pandemic, during COVID. Yeah. And those actually have the highest numbers of incidents. So it's like, I don't know, maybe there's like a factor, statistic that we're missing, like were there issues related to COVID? I don't know, but...
Was it somebody not wearing their mask?
Could have been.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look, it could have been something as simple as someone didn't want to wear a mask, everyone had to deboard the plane. Yeah. I don't know, but I look at like 2020 in June and July, and I sit here and then I look at like 2024, and I'm like, okay, so where am I at? 136 in June, and then I look at June of last year, okay, 180. So it's a jump. But then, you go next to it and you're looking at 164 in July, and then higher up you look at 2024, 170. Yeah. Now we're back to normal numbers. Yeah. And those numbers are consistent for most of the year. But for 2025, the numbers are the lowest that I'm seeing in like the last 8 or 9 years. So it's like there was this big surge in accidents and now they've come back down. But yet we're highlighting them more. Yeah. So I don't know.
Well, and you look at those, like you said, these numbers don't reflect necessarily accidents. They could be any number of different things that are affecting these numbers up or down. So, again, still an extremely safe time to fly, to travel. Everyone just is. I mean, ultimately, it's kind of like it's kind of like whenever we look at Israel and something happens in Israel, the security level. If you look at it, it's probably a safer time right after. similar to if right after we have had an accident or something, a
Yep.
plane flip. The eyes are on the airline industry much more, so it's probably one of the most safe times. to
Oh,
fly,
absolutely.
Even after something like that happens.
I mean, I understand following October 2023, like there was a decline in tourism, rightfully so. But if you look at now, like you said, there's heightened security everywhere. There's checkpoints at every border. Things that we didn't see in previous years, they now have. So like, I think you said it best. It is probably the safest time to go somewhere like Israel. And I mean, heck, look at the different policies that we had after COVID. They had testing everywhere. So it was the best time to travel because everyone was the healthiest. They were wiping down seats. I can't tell you the last time I got one of those little wet naps on a plane. They don't do that anymore, but they did during COVID. So it's wild, the kind of like the little ripple. But the crazy part, circling back a little bit, is actually the number of fatal accidents with aviation. So if we can put that graphic up, those numbers are like a percent.
Yeah.
I'm saying like 10% or less of the numbers that we were just looking at. Like we had said a minute ago, 180 at one point, and I'm seeing numbers 20, 26, 31, 22.
Yeah.
180, 20, that's a pretty big difference, I would say, no?
Yeah. Well, that and we probably, I don't know, are these based off of airlines or are these just airplanes in general? Because, everything that I've ever heard was, it's typically the planes that you see that you are finding or hearing a lot more of issues with are single private planes.
Yeah, non-commercial planes.
Exactly.
And that's, I believe, is factored into this.
Okay.
And so when you put it in that perspective, like, okay, I want to say it's maybe been a month. There was a plane, it crashed, I want to say, in Colorado. And unfortunately, I think everyone knows the story.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's probably factored into this number.
Sure.
But if that was in February, it's one of 10. And I mean, February was, I think, in like the 70s or 80s. But in comparison, I mean, 10's relatively low.
Yeah.
When you compare that to like in Florida, getting bit by a shark or an alligator or a
Struck by
chicken.
lightning.
Lightning, yes, thank you. I mean, lightning alone, I think there are more deaths from lightning than there are from plane crashes.
Yes, I'm sure.
So, I don't know.
That lightning's crazy.
Yeah, there are 444 recorded deaths just in the U.S. from lightning strikes. Now, granted, that's 2006 to 2021.
Okay.
They haven't recorded anything from 22 onward, apparently. So maybe there's been no deaths. But 444, I'm not leaving my house. Like, I will park in my I'll park in my garage. I'll get in the truck. I will drive to the airport. And then I will park in the parking garage so that I never have to step foot outside.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm safer.
Safer.
That's how math works, right?
That is.
That's Zach math.
I like that. I like the percentages there.
Yeah.
So basically what we're saying is it's a safe time to fly, even with what you are seeing on TV with things that are happening. It is completely safe to fly. So again, more opportunity to be bit by a shark or struck by lightning than there is for you to have an issue with your plane that would cause you any kind of a major problem. Although delay is often a major problem.
And that is true.
Joni, my wife, just flew back from up in New York and had the flight canceled. Actually, canceled the flight out of New York. They found her a new flight flying to Charlotte.
Okay.
To get on a plane when they landed in Charlotte to come home. While they were in the air to fly to Charlotte, the plane that was supposed to take them from Charlotte to Tampa, they canceled that flight, so she ended up having to stay the night. So
Of course.
again, you're more apt to have a delay and have to stay overnight somewhere than you are. Yeah,
Chris. What about being bit by an alligator? I feel like you have pretty good odds here in Florida.
I would say so. Yeah.
Yeah, especially like the Everglades area. I mean, I just saw this morning as I was coming into work, there was an alligator versus crocodile fight. You don't see that very often.
Really?
Yeah, it was in the Everglades. Yep.
Wow. Yeah.
Someone recorded it. I mean, I would.
You don't think about crocodiles, but we do have crocodiles
We
down
do.
in the Everglades area, so you have to be careful about that.
See, I have better odds of seeing that than I probably do having an issue on a plane.
That's true.
So,
What about we had a fire in London,
so
or did we?
so I'm sitting there, I'm eating lunch on the boat, and next thing I know, I see on the TV, London Heathrow on fire. That was the headline. And so I'm sitting there going, oh crap. Because, we work in the travel industry. We have a bunch of people that fly through that airport every day. I mean, we had a group that just left this week that went through London Heathrow. And then, of course, 2 days later, actually, the airport didn't catch on fire. It was a substation that provided electrical power to the airport, one of three. And then London Heathrow was like, actually, that was like one of them, and we don't even need it. Like, we just need one of the power stations. The other two are just backups.
Okay.
So technically what I understand happened is they canceled flights just for that time period, just in the event that it was like a bigger issue than they thought. Turns out it was just a transformer.
Okay.
It popped. Someone caught it on film. It made for a great TikTok, I'm sure, but outside of that, that was it.
Well, and you have to be cautious about what pay attention to what the news is putting out there, and then make sure that you check again later and see what actually has happened. So,
and I think that's the crazy part, because like you think about it and you read that headline, and if you don't circle back to like look up the story at a later date, that's the headline that sticks. Is the airport caught on fire. I'm not going to fly to London Heathrow.
Yeah.
But then 48 hours later, I'm watching in the same lounge on the boat, and they're like, actually, it wasn't as bad as we thought it was. And it's like, I wonder how many people don't watch or don't see that second part. Like, they just see the first, and they're like telling all their friends, did you guys see the airport that got on fire? And then one of their friends is like, did you see the follow-up story that it didn't? So,
yeah.
I don't know. Wild to me.
Yeah, it's interesting how everything gets kind of blown out of proportion a lot of times. So do your research. Give us a call if you have any questions about flights and flight safety and different things like that. You can send into the chat today if you want to talk about it, but you can also give us a call at 863-709-9208. I got to remember to talk slow.
We've got it up on the screen for you too.
Okay.
So that probably does help.
Or you can send any questions in that you have into info. You can send that to info@ittworld.com, info@ittworld.com, and we're happy to get back with you to help answer any of those questions as well.
We're giving the tech guy a run for his money today.
Yeah, he's doing a good job though.
Yeah, we've got I want to call him an intern, but he's really not. He's better than me. But yeah.
Yeah.
He
actually does a pretty amazing job on a lot of things, doesn't he?
Oh, I would agree. Yeah. I think I'm going to be out of a job if we keep this up. So I probably need to stay behind the camera.
So, and anybody that's trying to reach Caleb right now that needs to talk about their tour, he's handling everything behind the scenes. So he'll be back to you here in just a little bit.
Yep. So if you are trying to call him, keep calling. We will be sure to forward your message to him.
Also, if you're looking to set up a tour, if a tour leader has any questions, or looking to set up a tour, have a conversation about putting together anything from Israel all the way out to the UK for church history and everything in between. We've got river cruises. I mean, there's just so many different things that we offer now. You can email us at sales@ittworld.com. That's sales@ittworld.com. Or give us a call, again, at the phone number 863-709-9208. And you can catch up with any one of us, either myself, Zach.
Or call and ask to see Caleb.
Yeah. He's happy to talk to you as
well.
Call
and speak to Caleb every time. I think everyone should call and ask for Caleb.
That's a good idea. I like that idea.
But yeah, it's a weird week for travel. It really is, because Southwest is over here saying that they're no longer offering their free checked bags. So who better than to announce that they are offering free checked bags than Frontier?
Really?
Frontier. Now, granted, it's like a pilot program. So they said that if there's a lot of interest and they see a lot of new bookings, then they will continue it after the summer. But I want to say flights that are traveling between now and the end of like June or July, check bag goes free. which is crazy because Frontier is kind of like that. It's the airline that if you can't find a flight on Southwest, you either book Frontier or Spirit. But when they're offering free bags and Delta's offering free bags and American's offering free bags, Southwest is doing something wrong.
Wonder what's going on there. So,
yeah, we've got some issues.
Yeah, just a little bit. So we are, I don't know, we're looking to see whether you have any questions or anything, comments that are coming in. I see Chris Milligan's making jokes about the Seminoles.
It's easy to make jokes about the Seminoles. I'm sorry.
Easy. We're out of the season.
I know.
We're back towards football. Who knows what will happen this year?
A lot could happen. You know what? You may have better odds of winning a game than getting on an airplane and having an issue. Just for what it's worth.
I certainly hope so.
But that also means, the Gators could win too, which no one cares about that.
Yeah, we don't care.
No.
So March Madness is happening right now. So
we probably offended a lot of people with that statement.
Yeah, it's okay. It'll be all right. Well, if we got anything else we need to cover?
No, I think we've covered everything. I mean, I'm really, as bad as this is to say, I don't mean to harp on a subject. I'm kind of upset that I didn't get that $30,000 from Delta.
Jeez.
That sounds so bad.
Well, with that being said, we'll go ahead and move on out of the out of our stream this week, and we'll look forward to hearing from everyone as you get ready to travel. With any questions that you have about travel, any questions that you have about setting up a tour, different, even information if you're looking about what it looks like to fly into different areas and what those transfers might look like. We're certainly happy to help walk through any of those things for you. Again, if you're looking to plan a trip, catch up with us at the sales@ittworld.com. If you're looking to join a trip, reach out to us at info@ittworld.com.
Or call and ask to speak to Caleb.
Or call and talk to Caleb.
Caleb would love to field every phone call.
He is looking forward to the call.
Caleb is smiling ear to ear behind the camera right now. He is like double thumbs up. He is so excited. Whoa, what did I do? Wow. That is how happy Caleb is that he set off fireworks behind us. That's how excited he is.
That's pretty good. I haven't seen you do that yet.
No, I'm out of a job. What am I doing? Yeah, Caleb just worked me out of a job. I'm retired now. That's it. Caleb's in charge of everything.
We're going to see what Zach's going to get off here, and he's going to go see what all he can get set up for next week.
Yeah, I'm going to go watch a YouTube video.
But thanks for tuning in with us again at Imagine That this week, and we look forward to being back with you next week. Thanks, Zach, for plugging into that.
For filling in, yeah. Where's Rick, anyways?
I don't know.
We'll have to go find him.
Yeah.
Thank y'all so much for watching.
Take care. God bless.
See ya.